Stein was basically the YA version of Stephen King. I mean, I guess he like experimented with doing books that weren't really for kids, but R.L. Stein did the Goosebumps book series. You've heard of Goosebumps?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
that's how I know the name. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. So R.L. Stein, he did Goosebumps, and I mean, dozens and dozens of books. Talk about a prolific writer. I guess when you write horror books that are aimed for 11-year-olds, you don't have to sit there and painstakingly go through them. You could probably punch out a Goosebumps book in like 3 days and be like, yeah, it's a turn. Especially when the Goosebumps books started to get like to the point where there were so many of them that you had Night of the Living Dummy Part 3, the Haunted Mask Part 4, and it's like he's just writing the same book. It's the same twist, except with different people found the dummy this time because people love the book so much. But he also wrote this series of books called Fear Street. And Fear Street was basically Goosebumps except for like 13, 14-year-old, right? Like Goosebumps was good if you're like between 9 and 12. Once you get to
Sixth
13,
grade, seventh grade.
yeah.
Yeah, seventh grade is kind of pushing it a little
Right.
bit.
Once you get into 8th grade is when you have the conversation, right? Where like you show up to the first day of 8th grade and you're like, yo, did you get the new Goosebumps book? And then your friend who figured out what was cool before you but didn't tell you goes, ew, you still read Goosebumps? Yeah. Sam still reads Goosebumps. And I'm like, no, what? I didn't know we weren't.
No.
Who said we? When did this stop? I thought we all loved
We
Goosebumps.
We
What?
sent a memo out during the summer. You didn't get it.
You didn't get it. Yeah, you weren't on that chain. Yeah. But like 8th grade is when Fear Street picks up, right? Like Fear Street is it's not adult, but it's a little bit older. Theoretically, it's a little bit scarier, a little bit gorier. So, but it was pretty iconic. It was like not quite as iconic as Goosebumps, I don't think. Did you? But you weren't like of Goosebumps, but you didn't go hard with Goosebumps, Hot Dog.
I had like one or two of them.
Oh, okay.
And I used to watch the TV show all the time.
On Fox?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it brings us to Fear Street. I was into. This is the other problem with Fear Street is that they go like, well, once you age out of Goosebumps, the Fear Street series starts. But really, once you age out of Goosebumps, that's when it's like you don't read anymore. You know what I mean? Like
reading's lame.
Right. You figure out that reading's not cool. So I didn't read. So I didn't read any of those books. But oh my God, not Sam Miguel just dropped something. We'll get to it, Miguel. I see you. Don't you worry about that. Yeah, don't you worry about that. But what Netflix did was, I guess they optioned this Fear Street sort of full franchise, and they created a movie trilogy very loosely based on the book series. There's like, dozens of Fear Street books, and none of them, they're not separated by date. Like it's a different story in each book. So like Fear Street 1994, for example, on Netflix. There's no book Fear Street 1994. The movie is not based on one of the Fear Street books, but it is based on, it exists within the universe. Does that make sense, Hot Dog?
Yeah, I mean, this is again all completely new to me. I didn't know. I had an idea this might have been a remake or something like that,
Right.
like of an old movie. That's what I thought, but first time I'm hearing any of this, but it makes sense.
So what Netflix does, and I thought it was genius, was they created this movie trilogy, but they are putting the movies out every like week and a half or 2 weeks. So, and I mean, they stay there forever, but I watched Fear Street 1994 probably within a week of it coming out, and I was like, oh, holy shit, that was better than I thought it would be. And then they said, hey, I was like, oh, man, I can't wait for Fear Street 1978. What is that coming out next year? And it was like, no, it's coming out in 4 days. And I was like, yes. Oh,
Fucking awesome.
This is great. And then I watched that the day it came out, and I was like, oh, I wonder when Fear Street 1666 is coming out. And they're like, "Don't even worry, it's coming out on Friday." And I was like, "Fuck yeah. Yes." Would you say your audio dropped for a sec? Your audio dropped again. It really did.
Oh, oh. Another one.
Another one. Hey, I really like those Fear Street movies. Do you have any? And here's another one. And another Fear Street. Oh, you smart. You like Fear Street? They don't want you to get another Fear Street. So what did I make? Another one. I could watch all these Fear Street movies. And by the way, there's plenty more stories to tell, even in the movie that they set up. So basically, what they have here, and you know I love my movie timelines, Hot Dog. We talk about them all the time on the show. But what they've basically set up is a trilogy that exists inside one general timeline. You start in 1994. Did you watch the trailer for 1978 yet? Or did you?
The second one?
Yeah.
I think they played a little bit of it during the post credits.
Okay. Okay. So I haven't seen 1666 yet. So I'll put that out there right now. But I turned on Fear Street in 1994, not really knowing what to expect, but just being like, okay, it's a horror movie on Netflix. I like when horror gets mainstreamed. Like, I'll support this. This looks good. I'll do it. So turn it on, and as I'm watching it, I'm going, this feels like it might be for teenage girls. And I don't necessarily have a problem with that. That doesn't mean that you're not going to get me necessarily. I watched the whole season of Cruel Summer. It was great. I mean, some of it was bad, but the end of Cruel Summer, Hot Dog, awesome. Awesome.
I mean, it seems to be, you seem to fit that demo.
Teenage
recently.
girl?
Yeah.
In terms of what I like, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I get, yeah. I'm sitting there. I found out last night that Degrassi The Next Generation, every episode is on YouTube. Every episode of Degrassi The Next Generation.
Are you binging that?
Yeah, I already watched 5 episodes. It's great. It's such a good show. But it's like a drama about 7th graders. But it's still a good show. Like, it's just a good show. So if it's good, I'll watch it. But I'm watching and I'm going like, okay. I just watched the whole season of Cruel Summer. Which, again, to me, the ending, the ends justify the means. I'm good with it. Okay? But I'm like, I don't know if I can do this again. Then I start watching and seeing all these like horror movie Easter eggs. You might not have picked up a lot of them, Hot Dog, because you're not like a horror movie nerd. But like,
yeah,
names that were used, little props that were used, even like scenes, like the whole beginning of the movie with Uma Thurman's daughter in there. That was clearly a tip of the hat to Scream, which was clearly a tip of the hat to Psycho. So they're all like little things start happening where I'm like, okay, like, I get the teenage girl stuff. I think I can look past it because it seems like they're really embracing the horror genre. And I like that. And then, you know how they got me, Hot Dog?
Where?
The gore. Wonderful violence and gore.
Yes.
That's when I was like, okay, you did it for me too.
I wasn't expecting it.
Me neither.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that because the tone in the beginning of the movie was like, oh, okay, this is going to be,
right.
You know, like,
right.
what am I watching this for? And then the gore kicked in. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Pleasantly surprised.
When you see a head go into a meat cutter in a deli and you're like, you're watching it going, I'm sure that like they're going to threaten to put that head, because it's a character in the film. Like it's a character you're following. And you're like, I'm pretty sure they're going to just threaten to put that head in the meat cutter and then she'll get away. And then the head goes through the meat cutter. And you're like, oh, and you see it. You see the head get split. And you're like, this is fucking great. Yes. I knew I was watching this.
2 seconds later, another violent death. It's just stacking them up.
Yeah. It's awesome. So I got really into 1994. And the way they do it is basically it's the story about this town that in 1666 they found a witch, like during the Salem witch trials, you know, whatever. They found this witch and they hung her. Hang on one sec. Let me hold on to him. And they hung her, and as they were hanging her, she was like, just so you know, I'm going to curse the town forever. And they're like, whatever, whatever. We don't want any witches. You're dead. Like, we're hanging you. We're not going to have to deal with you ever again. And what they didn't realize was that she really did screw with them. She cursed the whole town forever. And so we're now in
Promises made, promises kept, baby.
right. And so we're in 1994, not realizing, kind of realizing, but some people don't want to admit it, that we're still dealing with this curse from 1666. So you go through, and it's, there are definitely shades of it. It, when you find out that the town of it was haunted by, this entity that takes the form of Pennywise the Clown or various other things. Like, it's not that different from this. It's a little different, but it's not that different. And you find out that the town has had a series dating back to 1666, has had a series every, could be 12 years, 8 years, whatever, every so often. Just a horrible, violent, and brutal mass murderer, serial killer shows up out of nowhere and wreaks absolute havoc on the town. And, there are shades of Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy Krueger in there too, because, hot dog, the thing with Freddy Krueger, the reason he's able to get so good is because nobody in the town wants to acknowledge that Freddy Krueger haunts people's dreams, because they think if nobody thinks about Freddy Krueger, he can't get into their dreams. Meanwhile, the people whose dreams he's in are sitting there going like, I'm trying to tell the world about Freddy, and the world's trying to be like, yo, you need to shut the fuck up.
Chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
Man.
Get off the tour bus, right? Like, I can't handle this right now. You need to go.
La 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 la.
You need to go. I was watching Dave, Lil Dicky show on FX, when they threw poor Gaeta off the bus because he was too enthusiastic. They weren't trying to catch that vibe right now. And I got it. They're trying to chill. OT Genesis, trying to chill. But, so it's the same thing where, the girls start going like, oh, there's a witch. This is a curse. And everybody's like, no, ain't no curse. Ain't no curse. It's just another mass murderer. We get a lot of them around here. It happens. It is what it is.
They be wilding sometimes.
We
outside.
Yeah. We outside. It's 1994. We outside. There's no corona. There's no COVID. It's 1994. What do you expect? We barely even have the internet. We don't know. We're outside. So, but, the kids figured out, as kids always do. And so the idea is that the kids spend the movie trying to figure out how to break the curse, because generally speaking, the curse will be targeted towards one person during a given period of time. And so really the way to stop the curse while it's happening for this period of time is that the person that the curse is after has to get killed. And once that person gets killed, then the witch's curse goes away for a little while until the witch's curse decides to pop back up and go after somebody else. And what's dope as hell is that all these like mass murderers, which is the way the curse always takes shape, they end up being like zombie killers, right? All the mass murderers end up getting killed, whether it's killed by the police, whether it's killed by somebody else. All the mass murderers in this town end up getting killed. But nothing kills them. They don't die. So, I mean, you saw them, hot dog. They burned them up in a bathroom and did nothing. It did absolutely nothing. So that's part of the witch's curse, that there's this group of mass murderers now that every time the witch's curse comes back, a new mass murderer shows up, and then that mass murderer gets added to the zombie killers that are going after either one or a group of people. So in 1994, they start figuring all this out. This is the first movie. And there's not going to be a lot of spoilers here. None of this is spoilers. These are plot points. And the 1978 hot dog, the second Fear Street movie, is much better than the first one. Because the first one, you really have to spend a lot of time kind of hashing all this out, right? Like, it takes time to kind of figure out, like, oh, the witch's curse and this and the hand and the mall and the this and the that. And you're going through all these details that bring you into this universe. Once you get into the second movie in 1978, all that information stands, right? We've already gone through it all, so now we can just get to the action and the character building. The characters are better in 1978. and the action's better, and there's just more stuff happening. The second movie's great. So what
Yeah, I
happens?
wasn't. Is it still teenagers running around in '78?
Still teenagers. They're at camp this time.
Okay.
They're at camp. So,
Was
you
it the
know,
camp that was mentioned in the first one?
yeah, yes, it is. It's all
Okay.
connected.
Okay.
It's all
Hmm.
connected, baby. So, they figure out in 94 that there is somebody that survived being hunted by this curse. And they find her at the end of the movie. And the movie ends with her being like, well, let me tell you what happened. And they go, next time. And it's like Back to the Future 2. You know how Back to the Future ends with Marty McFly going, what do our kids become assholes or something? And Doc goes, no, we have to go back to the future. And then the thing goes away and you're like, oh my God, I got to see this movie, right? Same
Yeah.
thing in Fear Street, where she goes, let me tell you exactly what happened. And then you just start seeing scenes from the next movie. And you're like, oh my God, I got to see this next movie. And that's exactly, it's so great. That's exactly where the next movie picks up in 1978. Gillian Jacobs from Community is sitting there telling these kids, the ones that are left alive anyway, hey, here's what happened to me. And then, diddle-loop, 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 diddle-loop. We go back to 1978 and we do the whole movie. We get to see her whole story. She's at camp. There's another. You get to see how certain killers, like the zombie killers, you get to see how they're born. You get to see one like you get to see one of the zombie killers that's in 1994. You see them take shape in 1978, right? So it's like, oh, you know what I'm saying?
Take shape, like literally take shape,
No,
or how they
like
become.
one of the killers, one of the zombie killers in 1994 is a character from 1978 that got killed,
Mm, okay.
right? So you know how
Yes.
like in 94 it starts with killings at a mall.
Yeah.
And the
Hmm.
person doing the killings at the mall becomes immediately one of the witch's zombie killers, right?
Yeah.
So you know how the witch has multiple zombie killers, right?
Hmm.
So one of the multiple zombie killers from 1994 takes shape the same way the kid in the mall did in 94 happens in 78. But you've already
Okay.
seen them because
Okay.
94 happened after 1978. So that's dope as hell.
It's dope.
Yeah.
And the third is 1666, and we're gonna go back again,
And I'm sitting there
right?
going like, okay, like is sick. I figured I'm like, okay, I get how you get back to 1978, and then at the end of the 1978 movie, we flash back into 94, where we kind of figure out exactly how Gillian Jacobs' character in 94 is connected to that 1978 camp, and you get the moment. You're like, okay, this is cool, like it's connected. And I'm going, but how do you get back to 1666? Like, what are you going to meet some old lady? Well, when I was around in 1666, I'm like, okay, R.L. Stein, you've lost me. you've lost me. But no, and I won't totally spoil the end of 78. But the end of 78 brings us to 1666. And it's not, I'll tell you, it's not dissimilar from the end of Back to the Future 2, where Marty McFly picks up the note from Doc, and Doc goes, I've been living in the Old West in 1885. And Marty McFly goes, 1885? We got to go to 1885. And then you see scenes from 1885 in the Old West Back to the Future 3, and you're like, oh my God, I got to see this movie. Same shit happens at the end of Fear Street 1978. You're like, oh, I
I'm
can't
not.
wait to get to 1666 now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna watch 78 tonight.
You got to. 78's better.
66. Yeah, 66 this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to watch 1666 this weekend. Sarah Fier, Fier, by the way, it's just a coincidence, is the name of the witch that's haunting everybody. Specifically, and she haunts people on Fear Street, but the name of the movie is Fear Street, and the name of the street is Fier Street.
Oh, I got confused.
But I would
The wrong
also,
street.
I mean, for me, if like my town had a haunted witch that put a curse on the town, even if it was just a rumor, I wouldn't name a street after her. You would think they would have like renamed the street like Joe DiMaggio Way or something like that. Just not
Martin
call it
Luther, MLK,
anything.
something nice.
Malcolm X Boulevard, whatever you got to do. Like anything's better than Fear Street, where it's like it's called Fear Street, but not FEAR, but it is like a ton of murders have happened here. And
Isn't
also
that cool?
named after a witch. So interesting, right? And you're like, no, this is like a terrible choice. Why would you name it after that person? Well, this is where we hung her. What?
It's part of our town history.
Yeah, I don't understand what your problem is here.
Yeah. The real estate is very cheap.
Yeah. Is that because of the murderers? Yeah, mainly. Yeah, it's mainly the murderers thing. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, ultimately you'll be able to watch, like, now that all 3 movies are out. I totally see. This is one of those things that you got to start at like 8:00 at night, cuz you'll watch all 3 in one sitting.
Yeah, I mean, you caught me watching the end of the first one as I was signing in.
Yeah.
I was like this far away. I was like, what's going on?
Right. And you kind of wanted to be like, let me skip this show and let me just go to 78 right now.
Can I just keep watching it?
Yeah. We should go on late tonight, Sam. We should go on later. I think like after these movies. And I'm telling you, I don't even care about 1666 like that. I don't even really care about 1978 like that. I wasn't alive. But you'll be like, it has the same effect. It had like the way 78 ends. You're like, I can't wait to watch 1666. So I thought they did a good job. And 78 has a ton of gore in it, like old school.
No, I'm not a big fan of that.
You don't like the gore?
No.
Like, I mean, crushing heads with like rocks and stuff like that. Like, it's awesome.
No.
Yeah. I love when they mainstream that stuff. I love when they like reel you in going like, no, it's just it's a horror movie for like teenagers. Come on, watch. And then, excuse me. And then they turn around and they get you with like just pulverizing bloody blows. It's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, you think when the death comes that they do that thing where like the camera, goes to another person or something like that, and you get a reaction shot, but no, they showed that head getting sliced up real nice.
They showed it. It was awesome. And there's more of that in 78. Yeah, and then like if you look at the opening credits of Fear Street 1994, it's got all these newspaper headlines from all the serial killers that have been on Fear Street, which we know now, are all people that have been cursed. But it's like there was one in 1953. There was like a child with a really weird doll mask on from like the 1930s.
Oh, that was creepy.
Yeah, that creepy kid. There's that girl who I think is maybe from the 1960s. With the switchblade that was one of the zombie killers
singing.
Right. So it's like the way these 3 movies are designed, every movie has a central, it's not necessarily who the movie's about, but every movie has a central murderer that then you also find out is being fueled by a witch, and there are zombie killers that help that murderer. But every movie, there's one new murderer. So theoretically, every one of those murderers that we see could be another Fear Street movie. You see what I'm saying? Like,
I want to see the baby one.
Exactly. Of course you want to see the baby one. Everybody wants to see that baby one. Like, Baby Boss is one of the most popular movies ever. Imagine Baby Boss, but live action, and it's a murderer. And it unfortunately does not have Alec Baldwin's voice. But other than that, seems way better.
Awesome.
Awesome is right.